A tech startup is just a company that helps people solve problems by leveraging technology as part of that solution.
For me, I just saw a lot of problems. And when I see problems, I see an opportunity to create an innovative solution. My name is Camille Tynes. I am a tech founder. I'm the founder of Connected with Care, or Connected for short. Connected is a web-based platform that allows people that work in the foster care system, the foster youth, and families to all log into one portal and access real-time data so that they can save time, money, and lives. So after knowing the field for so long and doing some customer discovery, the idea of having this software was developed. With everything being so advanced technologically in every other realm, it was time to help bring the child welfare system to the modern age.
I grew up in tech, really focused on tech all through college, made a career in that space. But I think a watershed moment for me was some of the ways tech is being used or not used in communities that are near and dear to my heart. What could I do with my technical expertise to help solve a systemic issue? And that came around air quality, both because it affects me personally. I developed asthma. I lived in Southwest Detroit for 4 years. My family members have also been impacted by asthma, and I see great disparities in city to city where communities of color have to deal with this disease. And so I think the first step is to understand what our quality of our air, to fight for those injustices in our communities, and technology is going to help augment that voice.
When tech startups start to grow, from an economic development standpoint, they create really cool, interesting jobs that pay more than average and that really can impact a community in a positive way.
My name is John Wolf. I am a video game developer, and I run an international video game studio called Urban Electronics. And right now we're focusing on augmented reality. Even though Urban Electronics was always my company, I didn't feel like a business individual until it came time to really seek investment or grants, and that completely changed the game of how I began to think. And I had a lot of support from TechTown that really kind of got me into that mode. They were a great support system that really taught me the more formalized aspects of business. What you need to say in a pitch deck, what is your value add, all of these really basic things that I never actually took the time to learn because, again, I was a game developer and not much of a technical founder, and they kind of solidified that for me.
So our journey with TechTown and the programs at TechTown started with Start Studio. And so for us, that was step one in taking what was our idea to start a travel company and making it something tangible. And we've continued with them every step of the way to not only validate and prove our idea, but to build our MVP and to now test traction and find customers. And so I can't explain how helpful it's been to have them kind of by our side throughout the whole process.
I'm not bragging when I say we give you the most support as an entrepreneur in the tech ecosystem than anybody else is able to give you in the Southeast Michigan area.
I think the technologies that will come out of Detroit from the people who are dreaming up new things can really redefine who we are and how we make money, and what we do leaves a lasting impact on the world.
TechTown basically accepts you wherever you are, whether you're a multi-million-dollar company trying to grow some more, or you are the mom and pop store, the mom and pop idea. There's a place for everybody here at TechTown, and for me at least, I know I found a space that is helping me grow and really helping me bring my idea of Connected to life.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to TechTown Detroit's Start Studio Discovery Showcase. This is our 8th cohort, and we're so enthusiastic about the quality of the 10 founders you'll be seeing shortly. I'm Stefan Cisco, TechTown's facilitator in residence, and I'll be your host tonight. Detroit's entrepreneurial ecosystem has grown remarkably in recent years, and all of us at TechTown are proud to be playing a part in that growth. It's important that we never take our eye off the ball, that we continue to build an ecosystem that's strong, solid, and accessible, that we continue doing all we can to further the dreams, knowledge, and skills of entrepreneurs like the ones you're about to see. We're glad you're here, participating in growing and enhancing our ecosystem. The 10 company founders you'll be meeting tonight have made it through an intense 12-week process in which they've been challenged to prove to us and to themselves that they have a viable business idea to pursue. Tonight, you're going to see the results of all those efforts. I've had the pleasure of working with this talented and determined group throughout the program, and they're all really impressive. Then again, I'm just going to let you find that out yourselves shortly. So here's how it's going to work. You're going to see a 2-minute video from each founder, followed by a 4-minute Q&A session with our judges. Then we're going to pick some winners. It's going to be an exciting evening. First, I'd like to ask Amanda Benno to join me and thank our sponsors. Amanda?
Thank you, Stefan. Start Studio is made possible with support of Ally Financial, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation, Ventures 313, and the William Davidson Foundation. Thank you to these program funders for making the Start Studio and the showcase possible.
Thanks, Amanda. So first, let me start by telling you a little bit about Start Studio Discovery. See, we teach our founders to fall in love with problems. It's easy for a founder to fall in love with a solution, and especially their solution. But if you're not building a product or a service that fixes a problem worth solving, if you're building something nobody wants, obviously you're setting yourself up for failure. Lean startup is the methodology we use to help founders quickly discover if their business model is viable. And it all begins with customer discovery. Lots and lots of customer discovery. Our founders are required to conduct a minimum of 15 customer discovery interviews every week of the program. If 15 doesn't sound like a lot to you, try it. It's a lot of work. Their goal is to complete a minimum of 100 interviews to determine if they have discovered a problem worth solving. I would like to thank some key members of the remarkable team behind the creation and the delivery of this program. First, there's Dr. Marlo Rencher, TechTown's Senior Director of Technology-Based Programs, who headed up the effort. Me, Stefan Cisco, I served as lead facilitator and helped take our entrepreneurs through this journey of discovery and validation. And Nicholas Slappy, who was instrumental in making the whole program come together and run smoothly. Throughout the program, the founders were supported and coached by 3 exceptionally talented and experienced entrepreneurs in residence. David Weber, who spent over 18 years co-founding companies such as StockX and Up2, and creating critical software applications for businesses of all sizes. Mac Hendricks, who's worked for large Silicon Valley-based companies for most of his 20-year career, including 5 years at Sun and 10 years at Oracle. As an entrepreneur, Mac has built companies in the restaurant and technology sectors. And Marlon Williams, a 20-plus year global diversity, equity, inclusion, and tech executive, DEI strategist and coach, founder at Sisters Code, speaker, and author. These folks are amazing resources for our founders. And the founders were also supported by 3 extremely impressive customer discovery specialists who served as research consultants, helping develop questions designed to uncover pain points and to help our founders interpret and understand their customer discovery findings. We're extremely fortunate to have access to the minds and the talents of customer discovery specialists Sean McGuire, Nakeem Edmond, and Zach Sharufi. They made really big difference in how our founders are moving forward with their businesses. So now I'm going to turn it over to TechTown EIR Dave Weber, who's going to introduce our esteemed panel of judges and then kick off our pitches. Dave?
Thanks, Stefan. Our first judge tonight is Lakeisha Grant. Lakeisha is dedicated to helping aspiring and existing small business owners navigate the hurdles of entrepreneurship and business building. As program manager, she gets the opportunity to assist startups in moving their technologies forward while appreciating their creativity and innovation. Prior to her current role, she was a small business advisor with the Small Business Development Center at the Entrepreneurs Center in Dayton, Ohio. As an entrepreneur herself, Lakeisha began her small business journey in 2012 with the founding of Ambition Unlocked, where she has the privilege of sharing stories of new entrepreneurs, shining a light on an often forgotten segment. She recognizes that starting out is hard, and it's even harder to get someone to talk about you and your venture when you're new. In 2015, she became the co-owner of Transformers Fitness, a concept created out of the love of fitness, healthy living, and the desire to share that information. It fuels transformations of the body as well as the mind. Lakeisha was born and raised in Dayton and still resides in that metropolitan area, where she enjoys being close to family and lifelong friends. Our second judge tonight is Dr. Markesia Pierce. Dr. Pierce currently is a technology business consultant for the SBDC. She previously was a product development manager for a preclinical technology accelerator for therapeutics. Prior to these activities, she was an industrial postdoctoral researcher at Michigan State University and led the development of novel small molecule oncology pharmaceutical compounds. She earned her doctorate in molecular physiology and biophysics, engineering management from Vanderbilt University, and received an MBA in management and leadership from Northwood University. She earned her bachelor's degree in biology from Purdue University. Markesia is also the founder of Ruby Leaf Media, a scientific communication and business consulting company to help life science startups, portfolio companies, and incubators grow their businesses and earn industry recognition. Let's give a big warm TechTown welcome and thank you to our judges. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing you to our first group of entrepreneurs. For the last 12 weeks, Nakeem Edmond and myself have worked with these first 4 companies who have been out hustling and interviewing hundreds of potential customers across Detroit and in some cases across the world. The insights gained have confirmed some ideas they walked in with, but even more so, helped them each learn, grow, and focus in on the exact right customer, problem, and solution. It has been a joy to watch Izora and Adrian from MySperio flourish in the discovery process. The individual strengths they both bring to their team has done nothing but fuel their discovery process and help them dig deep. Noelle from Fifth Pillar brings a joy and undeniable energy, along with a deep understanding of the platform needed to serve her community. Watching Noelle dig deep into customer discovery and come back week after week with an unmistakable vigor and new insights was contagious, to say the least. Jay from Fitly brings a smile to my face every time we interact. His genuine care for people comes through in every interaction we have, and that absolutely came through while he was digging deeper and molding his hypotheses through, through the discovery process. One of the most difficult parts for many entrepreneurs is building a business where there are many potential customers. Dom from Pretty Right Notary navigated this path like a boss. It was awesome watching her grow and learn and dig deep into who her specific customer was, and then walk out of the discovery process with the exact right customer, problem, and solution. And with that introduction done, here is the first of our entrepreneurs, Izora Roach with MySperio.
I'm Izora Roach, presenting MySperio, a platform providing marketing and sales support for mystical service providers. After 100 interviews, I'm very excited to share our findings with you. First, I'd like to introduce our team. I'm Director of Operations, and Adrian Roach is MySperio's founder. David Weber and Nakeem Edmond are our Start Studio advisors. Our original hypothesis was that people seeking human design services are struggling to find service providers. We frequently saw people asking for recommendations inside of human design Facebook groups and asking who they could trust. Connecting seekers and providers was the problem that we thought we would be solving, but we quickly found that providers had a more pressing pain. Our interviews showed that 92% of solo human design professionals rely on word-of-mouth marketing, and it makes sense. Studies show that a recommendation can turn a cold lead into a buyer twice as often as paid ads. However, 85% of people reported not having enough customers. This made us curious, so we dug in deeper. When asked about word-of-mouth implementation, 32% reported that they didn't have time to collect reviews, and 39% forgot to ask clients to refer them. Our solution then is not to replace word of mouth, but to make word of mouth work harder for them. Our solution starts with a professional web profile that serves as point of sale, displaying services, reviews, and content with social sharing. Next, an automated marketing suite that collects reviews, sends alerts, and shares targeted content to keep buyers engaged. And finally, MySperio will be providing data-driven business direction. We're planning to go forward with building MySperio. We're seeking funding for marketing and technical tools, and we look forward to answering your questions.
All right, judges, you may start asking your questions.
Thank you. I love the enthusiasm around what you were sharing and how just being able to convey the pain points of the target audience that you were interviewing. One question that I did have was, were there any other technologies that complemented the word of mouth piece that some of your customers that were using? If they're using just word of mouth and maybe another, you said the Facebook groups and things like that, but are there any other potential applications like yours that are currently in the space, and why are they falling short?
Sure. So what we found is that there are, when it comes to marketing, there are a lot of individualized tools. So there's list builders out there, like, you can build a list with a site, and then you can have Calendly to book calendar appointments. But it's up to you as the person that's using it to tie all of those systems together. So what we were finding is that very few of the people that we interviewed actually had all of the pieces of the puzzle together. If you think about business as having like 4 pillars, there's marketing, sales, delivery of the product, and there's also, operations, like, we don't want to go to prison, so we want to pay our taxes. And what we found is that people would have, there were problems with their web presence. So quite frequently, a broken website or a website where some functionality was missing or wasn't functional. So we find that there's a lot of tools out there, but it seems that the majority of the people that we interviewed were solopreneurs, so they worked alone. And so it was up to them to actually string all of these basic things together, and that's where they were falling short. So the tools exist in many spaces. As a matter of fact, and I hope the people that are watching will know this, Facebook itself has one entire solution that literally could do everything. There's also some other problems with that same solution, in that it doesn't actually provide enough visibility. So they run back into the same problem of not being able to be shared easily with people that they've maybe serviced prior, or just not being picked up by the Google algorithm because they're kind of trapped in the Facebook universe. I hope, does that answer your question?
Yes, it's giving me a whole list of other questions, but I'll let Lakeisha ask her questions as well.
I'll just drop one in for right now. Great presentation. One of my questions is, what is the ease of use for a person who might not be as technologically inclined? What does that look like?
So from our perspective, so my background is in UI and UX. So what I have noticed is because of this lack of being able to string these systems together. So imagine having to put Calendly, a list builder, maybe a funnel builder, all of these things together. The ease of use right now is very, very low out in the world for a non-technical person. Even me as a technical person, coming in to try to build these things for myself, I was finding difficulty. So what we plan to do is make something that is an all-in-one solution, that it has a very huge ease of use, where it's kind of plug and play. All they need to do is come with what services they provide and potentially, any services they provided in the last 60 days, we would actually start our word of mouth optimization process in the background, which is just a lot of marketing. So it's contacting people that they've serviced prior, and doing that on their behalf versus having the practitioner have to do it. If you think about, if you don't know what human design is, it's something that is, the easiest way I can relate it to you is it's like astrology. It's a mystical service. And it's really interesting because from my technical background and having a career in corporate, I never believed that people paid as much for these services as I know they do because they pay me. And what's ending up happening is that there are people who are coming into this market. They're now being branded as human design professionals, but they don't know how to build all of the systems together. So we think that this would be a very easy way for someone to go from they know how to deliver the service, but all of the trappings of business, they don't know how to put those together. So we anticipate this to be a very high ease of use.
One other question I had was, as you start to do customer discovery and prioritize what you'd like your app to do based off of your feedback, how are you prioritizing some of the things that you're hearing, and what things have you discovered in your customer interview that is kind of like 1, 2, and 3 on our next to-do list?
So this was the most fun part of it. Like this going through the Start Studio process has been so amazing because this is what we discovered. First off, when we started doing interviews, at first we were interviewing seekers and providers. And we listened to the seekers, and we still get some of those interviews, and it's really awesome to get those. But we started to really focus in on the providers because what we found was there were a top 3 problems that these folks were having in being able to bring this product or service to market. The first thing was not having a website that was functioning well. So some people didn't have websites. So some people had websites that had lost some functionality. So we found that actually tightening up their web presence was an important thing. Another thing that we heard over and over again was this use of word of mouth. And I think that we had to go and understand how word of mouth worked more. So when we asked people questions, we found out that they weren't doing consistent follow-up. They weren't pressing for reviews. We found out some interesting statistics around that the first time you ask for a review, only 10% of people give it to you. It takes to the 3rd to 4th request before you get 60% of people to even respond to you. So it was, really revealing to us that they had not optimized all of the steps that are necessary to do with word of mouth. So doing the follow-up, keeping a customer relationship up. So I would ask people, like, do you collect reviews? And someone says, yes, but they're on my computer. And I'm like, so no one sees them. So they're not really actually doing, and then I would ask questions like, how do you share that someone gave you a review? And literally not having easy ways to share. So those were our top things, basically making their customer impact shareable, doing this follow-up for them in an automated fashion so they don't have to be involved in the process because they're really busy doing this complex service, right? It's hard to explain to lay people like what, say, reading an astrology chart might be like, or reading a human design. It's intense. So these people have focused their attention on becoming really good at that. So we want to unburden them from that. And then I think that the other thing was the collection of contextualized reviews. So being able to get more than, the service was good, being able to, I'm sorry.
Adrian, thank you very much. I'm sorry, we've got to move it along, but thank you very much. And thank you for the great questions from our judges. Next up, we are going to hear from and see Fifth Pillar.
Welcome to Fifth Pillar, where authenticity and hip-hop culture comes first. This application seeks to provide transparent, authentic news and content surrounding hip-hop culture. My name is Noel Ililonga, and I'm the founder of Fifth Pillar. Being with TechTown allowed me the opportunity to work with amazing advisors and specialists, Dave Weber, Nakeem Edmond, and Mac Hendricks, who were all instrumental in my vision coming together. Coming into the program, I thought that the problem was that people were looking at content that they do not like in order to stay up to date with hip hop culture, and that the customer was young urban adults. While digging deeper into customer discovery, I found the target customer to be hypebeasts. What's that? A hypebeast is everything that's trending, from the streetwear to the music to the art and other content. To dig a tad deeper into the profile, these are young adults between the ages of 16 and 25, a little more than half of whom are male. While more than half of those who were interviewed would agree that they did not necessarily like all of the content that they consumed, even more would agree that the content that they were viewing was not authentic. At its core, content that's not authentic is as simple as there being a conflict between the subject and the creator. What this looks like for our users is searching across multiple applications and platforms to stay up to date around one topic. Within this, we found our unique value. With Fifth Pillar, we're creating an application that keeps users up to date on hip hop news that is relevant to them in one place. To create custom news feeds that they are certain is up to date and all encompassing ensures that the voice, image, and narrative are all authentic. This one's a go. I'm currently perfecting my prototype and working towards an MVP. I'd love to talk more about my roadmap for this project.
All right, great. Judges, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll go first again. Love the enthusiasm. I really, I really enjoyed the media space. One of the things that I wanted to ask you was, how were you able to test, validate that people would pay for the service, or is there a different business model that includes not just the users, but maybe advertising and things like that? Just so the main question is around the business model and what validation points were you able to test in that regard?
Certainly. Great question. So for this, I was able to ask people, is this something that you would pay for? And kind of working to perfect a business model that I knew people would purchase. How I was able to find something that worked for me was trying to create a community. Simply finding content for people to view wasn't enough for people to say they wanted to pay. But when I introduced the authentication and how they can be a part of it by being able to vote on these content creators using a scorecard method, they were much more interested. So from there, I'm working towards creating something with multiple tiers. People who want to view content can view it for free, and to purchase in and create your own profile and be able to vote on individual content creators so that we can show how authentic or not authentic they are. That's something that provided value to people.
Thanks.
Great presentation. A question around the sourcing of the content and the sharing of the content. What are you using to source and bring it in? And how are you coordinating, I guess is the proper way to say that, with those content creators?
So from here, that's what I'm doing a lot of research on, is how can I create and present these feeds? And what I've found, especially when looking at other hip hop content sites, is that they are giving stories directly from other major platforms. Let's say XXL is reporting something and the source is gonna show the exact same story and they're gonna credit them. I want to do that same thing, credit these different content creators and then be able to show their individual profiles that people can vote on. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah, are there any other so I'm thinking of a lot of ways how communities are used as a way to help a business to engage with their customers. Were you able to kind of look at the any type of competitors to see how they were using that community model to supplement what they're pushing, and then how in your research, have you come across ways where if your communities are looking towards you to be able to provide them content, and they're also the ones that are bringing up the or voting or sharing which ones are relevant or authentic, how would you leverage, or how do you hold those two things in your head while you're bringing value? So like how are you navigating both of those worlds?
Good questions, good questions. So when researching other hip hop platforms and how they engage with community, a lot of them are leveraging other services. Like they may go to Twitter and do polls, or if you're looking at the Shade Room, they're leveraging Instagram in order to create community around their content. So from there, my goal is to kind of create something that allows me to have my own community in one space, something that differentiates from leveraging these other platforms and how they're displaying their user content, rather than allowing Instagram to aggregate what comments users can see. My platform will control how we show other users comments. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now let's hear from Fitly.
My name is Jay, and I'm the founder of Fitly, where we connect you directly to your health goals. And quickly, here's our team. And we're a health company. We're a health and wellness company, and we want nothing more than to help people reach their health goals. So our initial hypothesis was that health-minded people would love to use an app that would help them better reach their health goals through monetization of personalized health data. Pretty cool, right? Get fit and get paid. But after talking with over 100 interviewees, we found something interesting, that financial incentives, though powerful, are not the primary driver for staying on track towards your health goals. Duh, right? So what is it? What did we learn? We discovered that finding a health community that works is the #1 factor preventing our respondents from being consistent, motivated, and accountable to their health goals. It's hard. It's hard to figure out what works for you. There are thousands of solutions out there: CrossFit, keto, intermittent fasting, and it's difficult to find that thing that works for you, especially when you're getting started. So our solution is a social media and health app where people can create a profile tailored to their health goals, body type, flexibility, nutrition, to name a few, and connect with individuals and groups on the exact same health journey. You can see what thousands of others are doing that works. You can post and share what works for you. And most important, you can stay accountable, motivated, and consistent with your health goals. And guess what? You can still get paid too. So that's it. Our project is a go. Our ask is engineers with mobile and fitness experience, and Web3 is a plus. And my connect is right there, j@detnft.io. Thank you.
All righty. Excellent. Judges, questions for Fitly?
Hi, Jay. Thank you for your presentation. Question for you: with doing it from a social media aspect, what is keeping a person returning to share? I understand you're talking about accountability, but let's say that I decide not to work out for 6 weeks. What is keeping me coming there to get that from you? What is keeping me coming back to the app to stay engaged?
Yeah, so #1, we really spent a lot of time figuring out what the main problem our customers were having, and that's exactly it. It was staying motivated and staying consistent with their goals. And like I said in the presentation, the #1 thing that kept people together is that community. So hopefully, building out our mobile app, we'll be able to create a solution for folks that keeps them engaged with the community, keeps them engaged towards their health goals. And if you saw what eventually what we want to be able to do is still be able to have folks monetize reaching their health goals. So they want to stay motivated, they want to stay committed. But on the back end, the cherry on top is actually having them be rewarded or paid for their health goals by allowing them to continue to have ownership of their personalized health data.
Great presentation. One question that I had around your market was, were you able to identify an initial beachhead market, maybe who your first 10 people would be? Do they have something common, maybe some low-hanging fruit that in terms of accessibility? How are you in determining your target beachhead market?
Yeah, absolutely. So we spent a little time exploring different markets and trying to figure out what worked for us. We went to the health enthusiast market and spent time with them and found that they weren't necessarily our market. So the health-minded individual or the health consumer, people who are already spending money on health solutions, so either spending money on the gym or spending money on a health app that they're struggling to stay consistent with, those are our main target core group. So we want to engage with those folks and present them with this solution and say, hey, we already know you want to improve your health. We know that most people struggle to really find that serendipitous moment where they find a community or a niche that works for them. This is our app that aggregates all those communities and tailors what you see according to what your health goals are, and hopefully expedite the time it takes from you deciding you want to get more healthy, more fit, and finding that community that helps you stay accountable. For us, it's all about the group. It's all about community. It's all about empowering those individuals and groups to work together to achieve a common goal. And we know that's a really difficult problem that we all face. So if we can attack that and solve that solution, then I think we have something really special.
Thanks.
All right. All set with the questions? Then thank you. And let's hear from Dom at Pretty Right Notary Services.
Today, we are going to talk about Pretty Right Notary Services. Pretty Right Notary Services is a professional signing company that verifies identification and notarizes milestone documents such as power of attorneys, trusts, wills, court documents, and much more. So to start off, let's talk about our team. So I am Dominique Cheatham. I am a product manager with over 10 years of mortgage industry experience. I am a notary public for the state of Michigan, and I am also the founder. We also have Dave Weber, who is also a businessman with over 10 years of technology experience, and he also serves as an advisor. So during Start Studio Discovery Program, my original hypothesis was that people ages 18 and up who need a notarization will go online to find a notary. Now, throughout my time in the program, I was able to conduct 101 interviews, and I was able to learn and identify some top pain points. Specifically, the first pain point is notaries were receiving unqualified leads. They were a part of a popular platform where they were receiving leads and they were charged, yet they were not able to secure the business deal, and they still had to pay the fee. The second pain point is marketing. It was very hard for them to attract the clients that they needed to help them build and maintain their notary business. So with that being said, I was able to formulate a new hypothesis, which is that notaries will pay for qualified leads that will result in a business transaction. So my solution for this is to create a platform that provides notaries with qualified leads and charges them after the completed transaction. And this here is a go. I'm looking forward to the partnership. And again, my name is Dominique Cheatham. Thank you.
All righty. Judges, Whenever you're ready.
Okay, great presentation. I really like the transformation of your hypothesis, showing that you learned and you're taking those insight to form new questions. I guess the next step, and the question that immediately jumped in my head was, how would you find the quality leads that you need for your notary clients?
Yes. So when I first started out, I was interviewing people who actually had documents notarized before. And the top two ways that they were finding a notary was either through family and friends, or they were going online. So, and I know we all go to Google at some point. So when finding qualified leads for notaries, it's going to be really important to have robust SEO, search engine optimization, so that we can have the proper keywords in there to attract these clients, because ultimately that's really what it's going to boil down to. Naturally, we can't change that they're going to go to family and friends, but when they start to Google us, then we want to be the first one at the top of the list, and they won't go anywhere else. So definitely search engine optimization is going to be really important, as well as marketing, to ensure that we're meeting the client wherever they are, whether they're a caretaker, a lawyer, or a broker, or a homeowner. Like, there are so many different groups that need a notary. Sometimes they don't know they need one until it's time to get one. But we want to meet them where they are, as well as on Google and on social media platforms, as well as other areas in the community.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What is, from a marketing perspective, what is the strategy to have a person really coming through you versus them just going directly to whoever is coming up next in the search engine as a notary? Like, what is the benefit on both sides? What is the benefit for me as a person who needs a notary, and what is the benefit for the actual notary for me to work through you or your platform?
Absolutely. So the good thing about the platform is that once a client provides us with the information that they need, as far as like the type of notarization, the location of where they'd like to get it notarized, and other pertinent information, we're actually going to match them with a notary. So they don't have to search for the notary. We will already do that hard work. So we're really streamlining that process for the client, but as well as the notary. If the notary, they can pop up. If you Google notary near me, you're going to get a ton of notaries. But the thing about it is, you can call one of them, but that don't mean they're going to answer, right? So the benefit of the platform is to match the client with a notary that is available and that actually is truly online and ready to serve that client at the time of their date and time of their appointment. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you, judges.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to introduce Mac Hendricks.
Hey, everyone. So I had the opportunity to mentor and coach the next set of founders. Over the last 12 weeks with Zach Sarufi as the customer discovery specialist, founders always come in with their gut feelings of who their potential customers are and how they will consume their products. Like in most cases, they were wrong. But both Kelly of Undercover Spark and Justin of Serendipity Cuisine leaned into the process and did the work. Kelly really understood the problem space, but listened to feedback from other participants and was able to find this core customer segment, which is really tough, right? If you really are an expert in that space, it's really difficult to listen to other folks, but he did that. Justin has a passion for helping people find healthy food options, which drove him to start Serendipity Cuisine. However, everyone wasn't his target customer, so he had to dig deep to narrow his customer segment. Both of the founders have found potential customers that want their product and agree with the unique value proposition that their products will deliver. So I have the opportunity to bring up the first founder in my group, Kelly.
Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Witchin, the creator and founder of Undercover Spark, a digital editorial service that picks up where Google Translate leaves off. Over the last several months, we've conducted over 100 interviews with customers from around the world that have English as a second language and who are primarily relying on machine translation to get their English content. The goal was clear, and that was to find a way to help them increase their quality of their content. Because at Undercover Spark, we believe that words truly matter. I was joined in this by my advisor, Mallory Glenn, and when we started this process, we thought we have a globe full of customers. We have an endless amount of customers. If you have English as a second language and you're creating digital content, then you can be a potential fit for us. And especially if you're relying just on Google Translate alone. Of course, what we quickly realized is that we needed to narrow our focus and narrow our customer segment. So what we did is we realized that what came to the top was the hospitality industry. They were extremely focused on customer satisfaction and customer experience. And because of that, they wanted to improve their online presence, they wanted to reduce customer confusion, and also they wanted to improve their reputation in the market in order to capture that English-speaking tourist and people to go to their businesses. The solution was pretty straightforward. What they wanted was a way to submit their content, we clean it up, give it back to them, and then they'd be able to put it on their website, on their social media, etc., and increase their quality and increase their reputation in the market. I think this is truly a problem that needs to be solved, and I'm excited to keep going forward with it. So if you need additional information or have any questions, please reach out to info@undercoverspark.com. Thank you.
All right, well, here we go. Judges.
Great presentation, Kelly. Question for you. What is the turnaround time when someone is making a submission?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's something that we just were discussing last week as well. I was originally going to start out with a 24-hour turnaround time. There are some users that I talked to, which is really interesting, that are using social media and were curious about this exact topic, if they could get a quicker turnaround time. So I think what I'm going to do in the long term is create kind of a tiered system where you could pay more for a fast turnaround time, kind of like a VIP express option. Probably not something I'm going to start out with the MVP, but that's something I'm aiming for. But initially, thinking of a 24-hour turnaround time.
That's great. Really appreciate the pitch and your transitions around your changing of your hypothesis. One question I did have was you mentioned that is it that most of your customers were only using Google Translate, or were they using other services like maybe Fiverr or whoever was doing their or Upwork or some of those gig type of technologies, and what would be your differentiation point?
Yeah, so it was primarily Google Translate, and that might have just been the demographic that I was going after. It was people that were not English, didn't have English as their first language, and were relying on translation services for their web content. If they weren't using Google Translate, then they were having friends or coworkers check over the English content. So it was between those two, really. Like, there wasn't many that cropped up to the surface. And I think right now in this space, there is no human help service that I have found that people can go to, right? So they can run it through a machine, which is great, but as we all know and we see, and what they are seeing is that that quality is not the same, right? And they're finding mistakes, and people are turning away from booking at their hotels and whatnot, or booking wedding events at their hotels because the English is broken. And so that's really like the gap that I want to fill.
One more question on my end. What is the capacity that you're able to handle with this being a hands-on human experience?
Yeah, the capacity would depend on the human beings that I would hire, right? And so I understand for scalability, it's probably more of like a white glove service than something that I want to like scale hugely, because what I like is that it's human generated ideas, human generated like help that counterbalances like the machine translation. One idea that I did have for scalability, if I did want to see it grow like exponentially, would be to allow a user to come into the system and say, I will help people that post their content, I will clean it up for them in return for like a discount at their resort, or like $10 off on their online store, right? So then you're creating this like meeting point where people that have English, are fluent in English, can come and help those that are not, and it's equally beneficial. So that's something that down the road, maybe if I do want to scale it like broadly, but I really am focused on kind of the human aspect and keeping it very human generated and human oriented.
All right. Thank you very much. It's interesting. Mac mentioned it, and it was talked about a little bit here. At the beginning of every cohort, I say something along the lines of, whatever you're thinking right now, you're probably mostly wrong. And I get a few looks, and people think I'm mean and nuts. But as the process goes along, we find that it's nearly impossible to guess, no matter how good you are, to guess what it is your customers are facing as their real problems. And so we see a lot of that discovery throughout these programs, which is wonderful. Next up, let's hear from Serendipity Cuisine.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. My name is Justin D. Bostic, and my company is Serendipity Cuisine, where excellent food is discovered. Through the amazing program here at TechTown Detroit, I've been able to conduct 138 interviews, as well as a valuable aspect of business. My team includes myself, Justin D. Bostic, as the founder, Mac Hendricks, who is my entrepreneur in residence and mentor, Zach Sharufi, who is my discovery specialist. During the beginning of the program, my original hypothesis was everyone who purchases food from delivery services such as Uber Eats or DoorDash will pay for a prepared meal service. Through my interview discovery process, as well as digging deep, I was able to identify my target customer, who were career-focused individuals between the ages of 25 to 45 who cook for themselves or their families. In the interview process that I encountered, my interviewees expressed that time, delivery, and variety, or lack thereof, were pain points that all of them had encountered on their experience. My solution for this problem is to create an app for prepared meal pickup and delivery service. And within that, my unique value proposition is an a la carte meal plan option. And I'm very happy to say that we are a go. Again, my name is Justin D. Bostic, and my company is Serendipity Cuisine. And I have included my email if there are any questions or comments that you would like to refer to me. Thank you very much, and I can't wait to hear from you.
Judges, what questions do you have for Justin?
I enjoyed the pitch. This is something that I deeply am passionate about. We have so in your customer discovery, the food delivery and preparation, storage, being able to have sourcing it from local places, that's a tough nut to crack. In your customer discovery, were you able to uncover some support in the ecosystem, maybe some people that you would talk to for potential suppliers or partnerships that would help put some momentum behind this?
Absolutely, ma'am. No, I was not able to contact or get in touch with anyone through my interview process, but that would definitely be something that I would love to do going further within an MVP conclusion into the next class.
Yeah, mainly around just kind of some advice, maybe around just what just ecosystem mapping that can kind of complement what's possible, what's a pitfall of the region. But I love the idea and glad that you were able to kind of get some validation behind the initial value proposition.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. And I had a great time throughout the class as well. Thank you.
Excuse me. Sorry, I keep coughing. One of the questions I have for you is there any, did you find out that there was kind of a price point is probably not the appropriate word. I'm losing my words, I apologize. A disposable income level that went along with the people who you would be serving? And
so primarily, I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done now, I'm sorry.
No, as far as disposable income would include people who already are doing the meal prep services that they would actually, I would say, come to me first, and I would definitely match what's already out there and give them something different than what the other competitors are already offering.
Can you share a little bit more about the competitors that you were that's come up in your customer discovery, like your target market have been using?
Absolutely. So HelloFresh and Blue Apron are the primary competitors that my interviewees had displayed that they went through for their meal prep services. So within that, I did do my research on both Blue Apron and HelloFresh. And within coming up with my unique value proposition, I don't believe that they would offer what I would offer as far as customization for whatever meal plan that you would decide to get as far as a customer is concerned. And within that, I would, for example, if you have something that's already fixed as a menu option, and I'm offering you an a la carte option to go behind what's already done, and you can customize your own meal plan outside of what's already fixed, I believe that would give my customers more of an interest in what's already out there and create something for themselves that not only would they enjoy themselves, but they wouldn't get from anywhere else.
Great. Thank you very much. Now,
thank you.
I'd like to bring up Marlon Williams to introduce her teams.
Hello, everyone. I will try to make this as quick as possible. However, I just want to say, this was 12 weeks of these founders not having any idea what they're coming into, 12 weeks of someone telling them to dig in, and 12 weeks, if you work with me, saying, no, let's start over, let's do something different. I had no idea that this team would form a bond. So it's like now they're sisters and they're a part of my tribe, and I'm so blessed to have had the honor to coach them. So first is Shay Bailey. Shay is what I call classy and determined. There are times when you meet a founder who knows so much about the industry that it's tough for them to be coached or to consider something different. That was not Shay at all. It was just so exciting to see her during this journey as she picked up confidence and pivoted as needed. Next is Latoya. Latoya has a smile that will light up any room. Our engineer, she's the antithesis of the stereotype of what an engineer is. She had no problem going down a road that was not straight. It was crooked, it had bumps, it had bruises. She had no idea what was going to happen, but she dug in, she stayed in it. She bossed up and she made it happen. And like I said, her demeanor is just absolutely amazing. Next is Farai Gooden. This is our daughter of Africa. She is fierce and vulnerable all at the same time. She brings a personal human touch to our group. And she is unapologetically committed to finding a solution to a problem that is definitely going to elevate and uplift her community. And her ability to take feedback and pivot when needed was absolutely remarkable as well. Last but not least was Lana Harton. Lana is what I call resilient and consistent. I met Lana a few years ago under different circumstances, but when I met her, she was working on her idea. And now in this full circle moment, she has just doubled down. She is even more determined on creating a solution for a problem that is near and dear to her heart. Her relentless persistence is absolutely contagious. And so now for the first pitch for our team, take it away, Shay.
Hello, I'm here to introduce you to beauty's latest resource, My Beauty Kit. My name is Shay Bailey. I'm the founder and a beauty industry expert with 15 years experience specifically in retail sales and operations in the beauty industry. With the help of this program, my advisor and my mentor, I had the opportunity to interview over 150 beauty consumers with the idea that they are navigating a $500 billion market and they need our help. They need our help navigating through their purchase history and understanding retailers that sell and retail their products. Through my findings, I not only proved my hypothesis correct, I uncovered additional pain points that I can definitely take care of through my app. Not only do they want their purchase history, they want product recommendations, product knowledge, and real-time notifications, letting them know things like your mascara has expired, your retailer is now stocking your product, or your favorite brand is offering 20% off. This MVP is definitely a go. During this MVP, I hope to create a product for customers where they can have an online profile, receive those notifications they're looking for, track the retailers they love to spend in, and have a barcode scanning system where they can get more product knowledge and track their purchases. I'm looking forward to financial assistance, of course, but more importantly, mentors in the tech industry as well as public relations professionals so that I can ensure that My Beauty Kit is the #1 resource for beauty consumers. Thank you.
Judges, bring on the questions.
Very nice presentation. This was a really, really good customer journey experience. Were you able to, with your customer discovery, narrow in a little bit on if this would be something for the average woman who is buying or man who is buying these beauty products, or was there any way to validate if there was businesses, maybe small makeup artists or other people who kind of have a business associated that would test who your target beachhead market would be?
Thank you. Great question. So for this particular rollout, it definitely focused on beauty consumers who are considered to be a more mature beauty consumer. I initially thought that I was going after a target audience in the age range of 16 through mid-20s. However, through the discovery process, I found that the ideal consumer for this app or the user for this app is significantly more invested in their products and their beauty routine. They're someone who is a everyday beauty consumer. They're not as promiscuous, meaning trying all sorts of different trends that are popping up on social media or online. They're someone that wants consistency. They want real-time information. And more importantly, they want a mobile app that values their time. So that puts them in a different consumer bracket, which is a 35 to roughly 50-year-old consumer, a professional individual that values time over trend.
Great presentation. What is the expected load on the consumer when they initially interact with the app? What is that time that it would take for them to kind of get all their things uploaded? What's the simplicity of that?
So the initial acts of the consumer is that they create a profile, and inside of that profile, they can include as little as their name. Or they can go further to include specific things like skin type, hair type, which type of brands they enjoy shopping with, which retailers they want to receive specific information on. So the goal would be that the app would send information to them based on their profile, and they have full control over what they decide to include or not.
Were you able to test any business model assumptions? Like, what would they be able to pay? Would they be willing to pay? What other types of ways you would monetize this type of endeavor?
Yes, thank you for that question. So initially, my thought was that this would be a paid app. However, just through my research in app revenue, in-app purchases are more lucrative for app brands. So I quickly pivoted from the paid app model and decided to go with a free app that includes a minimal feature set, 2 features to be exact, and then they would pay for the barcode scanning feature. The barcode scanning feature, I feel as though would be specifically it's just something they'd be super interested in, because they will have the ability to scan the barcode and get specific product information like key claims, ingredients, whether or not this product is considered clean or minority owned. So they can get that information through the barcode scanning system, and they would need to upgrade their app or purchase that particular feature.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, let's hear from Latoya at V Agency.
My name is Latoya Von Gretchen, founder of V Agency, a wedding planning and design company based in Detroit, and I've completed 122 interviews. We are a boutique company with a powerhouse staff, including myself and our wedding manager, Gabriella Amiano. 2023 marks our 15th year in business, and we have had the pleasure of planning 158 wedding celebrations. During these years, we've learned the pattern of an engaged bride and how she approaches her dream wedding. She is willing to take on all of the planning duties to save money, and that makes her a do-it-yourself bride, also known as a DIY bride. When starting Start Studio Discovery, my hypothesis was a DIY bride searches the internet for ideas to save money. After 122 interviews with DIY brides, I rejected my original hypothesis, and I quickly discovered that a DIY bride is not financially ready to plan her dream wedding, which has led me to my new hypothesis. DIY brides set unrealistic wedding budgets because of the lack of available resources for wedding budget guidance. To solve this problem, I have created a solution that is app-based that will provide a financial wedding plan, access to financial advisors, professional wedding planners, and trusted wedding planning resources, which will ultimately save time, money, and stress. I am uniquely qualified to build this solution because since 2008, I have solved this financial problem for hundreds of brides. This solution is a go because it will provide financial education beyond wedding planning, but it will establish financial literacy skills for marriage and everyday life. I am building a tech company in the financial wedding education space that has never been served. And I need your support in building my MVP because it will be groundbreaking for the yearly 1.9 million weddings worldwide. If you are interested in the tech space that I am building, my information is here to learn more.
All right, DIY judges, feel free to ask your questions.
I was a DIY bride during COVID, so I get it.
Oh my
God. Yeah, it was quite the challenge. So I love the space that you're in. Would this be were you able to uncover with your customer discovery how you would be able to differentiate yourselves from like the Zola and the Knot and apps that kind of have, here are a directory of vendors and kind of help you along the whole process? I appreciate the financial planning piece of it. Could you speak more about how that would differentiate for your customers, what pain point that was that they were able to articulate?
Yes. So what I did find out after doing all the 122 interviews and then also working with my full service clients that I work with, it always stems back to the money piece. So if the money is not solid in the beginning, it is challenging to move forward with planning your wedding if you don't have a budget that's already in place. And with all of the current resources that are out, including the Zolas, the Wedding Wires, and the Knot, those are all free resources and they actually give you the what. But the difference in what I am creating is I'm going to provide you the what and also the how. So you don't have to question anything. You can have confidence in moving forward with planning your wedding.
I've been many DIY bridesmaids. It's not a good time. So maybe I might like this app more than the bride.
Yeah.
One of my questions is on the financial piece and the education, what is the buy-in that a bride has to have on even getting engaged with that? How is that being presented to them? Is it something that's kind of an alert based on when they create the profile, or how are they getting engaged with that part?
So how they're getting engaged is that up front, they want to be able to create a sustainable budget to be able to plan their wedding. So that's why they're coming to the app. So most brides don't know how much money they need. So they just set a budget that is comfortable for them, but that might not be accurate towards their local area to plan a wedding. So you can plan a wedding for $5,000, but will you get the things that you've dreamed of? Or do you start compromising from day one? So my goal is to be able to provide them a financial wedding plan based on what they can actually afford. And that's looking at their income, looking at their current expenses, and also looking at what they've dreamed of to plan as a wedding. And let's create a financial plan from there and move forward instead of just doing something that you're comfortable with, but you don't know if that's going to work or not. And typically it doesn't work. And that's where the stress starts to increase from there, because you start to figure out everything is way over what I thought that I could afford. And now I don't have the money to allocate towards that.
You said that you had some experience in the space working with brides before. Is this a business that you have existing? Is this an endeavor that will complement your already like your vendor space, or is this something standalone that will not be working in synergy with the business that you already have? Those are slightly different strategies.
Sure. So yes, I currently have a wedding planning business where I work with full service wedding clients, and they come to me with their budgets of what they want to do for their wedding. And it's always not feasible for what they're looking for what their dream is. So it doesn't match. Their budget doesn't match their dream. So my goal is to be able to elevate what we're currently doing. And you have, two different sectors of brides. Some brides want to hire a professional. They know that off the bat because of their schedules, or just because they don't have any experience in that space and they want the perfect wedding. And then you have a bride that just does not have the budget to do that. So she wants to be able to take on some of those planning duties, but she needs some professional guidance along the way. So my goal is to be able to help that bride that wants to have that do-it-yourself element, and then also have some do-it-for-you features involved in that, where she's willing to invest in that as well to have that perfect wedding day.
Story of my life, LaToya. The budget doesn't match the dream. Thank you very much. Now let's hear from Abantufai.
Hi, my name is Farai Gundan, a daughter of Africa. I'm excited to share with you Abantufai Payments, which has been designed to transform the commuter transit industry in South Africa. Growing up, I actually used commuter taxis and we paid cash, and this was almost 20 years ago. Fast forward to 2022, and commuters still pay cash for their trips. Our team is equipped to handle this challenge. I have a finance and payment background, Google technology background, and a son of Africa. When I came to TechTown, I had the idea of solving for the payment challenge across Africa, because 80% of all transactions in Africa are still cash-based. The customer discovery process allowed us to focus in on the commuter transit industry in South Africa, which is the largest mode of public transportation at 42%, and we centered our hypotheses around the lack of a digital payment option. Our findings uncovered 3 customer segments: commuters, drivers, and owner-operators, who all had varying challenges, from inconvenient to unsafe cash challenges to lack of transparency. Our Abantufai payment solution spoke to those very challenges, from developing a digital payment that would transition the entire industry from cash-based to digital base. So think Uber, but for the masses, to allowing for instant access to cash for the drivers. So think of Cash App or Venmo. This is a go for us because we're able to monetize in 2 primary ways: a percentage on each transaction, as well as a monthly fee for the owner-operators of the vehicle, so they're able to track performance of the vehicles and drivers, because data is king. Our ask is very simple. Help us build an MVP that will allow us to transition this industry from cash to digital, as well as develop a go-to-market strategy. Thank you so much, Nkosi.
All right, judges, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. That was a great presentation. In terms of how you're getting information around that MVP, that is a area or industry that's highly regulated. If you're going digital, you're going to be able to, you have to demonstrate that you're working with banks and different types of financial mechanisms. What tools or support would you be able to, have you been able to uncover to kind of get you to that first MVP, if you will?
Thank you so much, judges. I am so excited to be here to present on the heels of President Biden convening the US-Africa Business Summit that's currently taking place in Washington, D.C. There are actually 50 heads of states from Africa in Washington making the case, a strong case for Africa. And I hope I'll be able to add my contributions toward that effort with my presentation on Abantufai. You are absolutely right. I mean, this is, financial services is highly regulated. The wonderful thing about Africa is that they've leapfrogged. And so when we think about some of the tools that we'll be bringing into the space, so you have the banking industry, which will be working with a bank, say a Standard Bank, but we'll also be working with the mobile operators. And their regulation has shown that Africa has leapfrogged because the African governments have realized that there's a significant amount of population that is unbanked. So in order to bring them into a position where they're able to be digital, not banked, but digital. They've allowed mobile operators to allow for mobile banking. So mobile money. So mobile money is very different from mobile banking. So mobile banking, you have to have a bank account where there's a lot of regulation. Anytime I take your deposits, there is a significant amount of regulation. However, on the mobile money, that's slightly different. And their regulations has allowed for your low-cost operators to come in and to provide digital banking, if you will, for the unbanked. So we see a space where we'll be able to operate because the regulators are quite keen to provide low-cost services to the base of the pyramid population, I call them, because they exist on $1 or $5 a day.
I actually had the exact same question, so I don't have another question for you.
Okay, so I do have another question around your. It seems like you have your beachhead market fairly defined. Was there any insights in your customer discovery that pointed to a couple of people that you would go to right away, your customers? I know you said that in the commuter industry, is there any other defining characteristics that you could add to that beachhead market?
Absolutely. You know, Stefano, when he initially introduced us, he mentioned, don't fall in love with your solution, fall in love with your problem. And I'm really in love with my problem. I understand my customers. So the total addressable market is 28 million. So there are 28 million commuters in South Africa. Of that, the servable market is 15 million. If we can get 10%, and I think about your domestic workers. So there's a commuter base, which is about 15 million, that will take these commuters in the morning. So I think of Mama Ngomo that I spoke with. She was one of my interviews, one of the women that I interviewed. She's a domestic worker, and she uses a commuter taxi because she doesn't drive. 40% of her income is towards transport. And so these commuters rely on this public, on this mode of transportation, which makes up 42% of public transportation in South Africa. So that was very, very key for her. In 2021, we discovered that ATMs, because of the riots in South Africa, ATMs were vastly reduced throughout South Africa. So a lot of our commuters had problems finding cash. You have to have cash because it's very cash driven. It's a cash driven industry. And so to pay for your fares, you have to have your cash, because a lot of these men and women, these are your gardeners, these are, you know, our domestic workers, these are your teachers that may not afford a car. This is in South Africa. It's still in the developing, emerging market, if you will. And so they rely on these transportation. So they need the cash. And sometimes there are no ATMs within their vicinity for them to access cash to pay for the fares. And if they do have an ATM and they do access cash, it's often in high bills. And so now you have to wrangle with the driver in getting change. And these guys, I mean, they incomes are not that high. So every dollar or every rand, because of South Africa, is much needed for their households. Because again, 40% of their income goes towards transportation. So if these commuters, the drivers and the owner operators would be the key markets, the key consumers.
Thank you very much, Farai. And thank you for showing me that sometimes somewhere out there, somebody actually listens to something I say. So thank you for that. Well, did I tell you folks that this was going to be exciting? Let's do it one more time. Let's hear from VoiceBlocks.
Hi, I'm Lana Hardin, CEO and founder of VoiceBlocks. My background is in EdTech. I've been in EdTech for 7 years, and currently I am a social emotional learning teacher for K through 8th grade, special needs students, and diverse learners. Right now, currently, there are 49 million students in the U.S. education system, and of that, 15% or 7 million are special needs learners. What makes me uniquely qualified to lead this solution is that I'm the parent of a special needs diagnosed learner. who I'm happy to say right now, years later, is in the National Honor Society. She's no longer special needs, and she's in the top 14% with her peers in reading and math. So when we started this, our original hypothesis was that parents are looking for a safe space for their students to connect online, communicate, and learn. What we found from talking to so many parents like myself who had navigated this road was that really these themes stood out. Number one, it was time consuming. They were always in crisis mode. It could take up to a year to get an IEP diagnosis, an individual education plan, or another 10 months after diagnosis to receive services, which leads me to point two, that really early intervention is needed. And because of these roadblocks, barriers, gatekeepers, it increased the delay that the children were experiencing. And finally, that it was location specific. Zip code, school district, it all determined the services they were able to get. Our user is low and middle income parents of special needs children. And what we found now, our new hypothesis, is that parents will pay $29.99 a month on a subscription basis for online resources, social emotional support, and help navigating the IEP process. Again, my name is Lana Harden. Join us on this journey. We need help with customers. We need help building out our MVP. And finally, we need help developing a strong go-to-market strategy. Thank you.
Judges, let's hear one more batch of questions.
Awesome. Hello, Lana. Could you walk me through a little bit more of how you envision your customer engaging with us? Like what is the business model, and how would you engage with the customer? I'm glad that you were able to get it down to a number.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's a multi-tiered system because what we found, as I mentioned, is that we have not just the IEP, which is the baseline, but we also have the online learning as well as the in-person meetups and events that we found would be useful. Our business model is we're doing a B2C subscription-based model where we interact and engage with our customers. What we found really from connecting with countless parents was that they had a plethora of needs because after the school day ended, then really they were limited to what was ever in school, whether that was pull in, pull out. So our business model really is pulling them into our funnel through subscription-based at the base level, and then from there giving them a suite and package of services that they can actually use over time.
What is the parental lift on this? I say all the time, you know, I was an engineering major, but I'm not sure about the new math. So what is the parental lift to be able to properly assist?
Well, when you say parental lift, can you just please define that more? You mean what is their buy-in or what?
Actual interaction with from an assisting standpoint.
Well, what we're doing is, so what makes us really unique is that we're actually being an advocate for both the child and the parent, right? So parents are the ones who have to go advocate, but often they are unequipped because they don't know the laws per state, per region. They also are taxed with, after they're given the IEP, also making connections with different providers. A lot of times there are roadblocks and road barriers. So what makes it nice is that we found from all of our interviews that we not only had a solution for the children, but we also had a solution for the parents who said they were always in crisis mode. They didn't feel like they had any support, and they also felt like they had to fight just to be heard on what their needs were and their children's needs. So what's really nice about this is that we actually are taking what they want and also providing a service to help their child. So we're actually helping the family. The last thing I'll say, which I think is really critical because it was a theme that kept running throughout our interviews, is that special needs parents, especially single parents like myself, often struggle with, God forbid, if something happened to me, who's going to be able to keep up with my child and know what they need? I mean, a lot of them had documentation so big and binders that they felt like they had to keep regurgitating over and over and over. So we know from our interviews that we're providing a sense of relief and taking a burden of even a fear of death away from these parents who carry that burden of making sure their children are getting what they need. need. And a lot of times, and I'll say this, and I know we don't have a lot of time, what we found is that one of the parents said to me, and it'll stick out so clear in my mind, that, you know what, a lot of times I don't even have time to pour into my child because I'm on an empty tank. So what we hope to do is help these parents provide the resources they need, but then also give them that respite to come together and meet with other parents who can build them up and also have that peer-to-peer support. So hopefully that answered your question. I feel like we're lifting our parents, and because of that, our parents, you know, they're all in. Everyone we talked to was on board and saying, this is what we need. And they were willing to pay much more than that. The reason we started with the low numbers because we wanted to be able to get some of the low-income parents without having to involve the agencies, which we may scale up to at another time.
All right. Thank you very much. And with that, that is our pitches. That's our Q&A sessions. Great job, founders. Great job, everyone. Judges, you've got a tough job ahead of you. Good luck making your decisions. So the judges are going to be evaluating each of today's presenters on the following criteria: the viability of the business, its potential to scale, the market, the team, unique value proposition, customer problem fit, largely the demonstrated evidence of work performed and learning accomplished throughout the program, and also the quality of the video presentation and their performance during the question and answer session. So while the judges tabulate their scores, I want to tell you a bit about the terrific prizes that we have. And as soon as I find what to share, I will do that. So first place today is going to receive $1,500. Second place will receive $750. And third place will receive $250. And then we also have been open for voting for the last week or so. And one startup tonight will win the People's Choice Award of $500. In the meantime, while judges are tabulating their scores, check out some photos from some of our past Start Studio showcases. And we will be back in just a couple minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. The votes have been tabulated. The judges have deliberated, maybe not in that order. To present tonight's awards, I'd like to invite Marlo Rencher, Tectown's Senior Director for Technology-Based Programs, to join me and announce the winners.
I want to thank everyone for all their time, their effort, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and the community. Just thank you all so much for not only putting your all into it, but for lifting each other up as you have gone through this journey. Recognize that this hard work is something that you're going to get, and that's valuable for you going forward. Please make sure that you keep in touch with each other. First, I will start out with announcing the People's Choice Award winners. With 474 votes, Myspero is the People's Choice Award winner. That is Zora and Adrian Roach. Congratulations. Next, we'll go in reverse order. So at third place, we have The Agency, Latoya Von Gretchen. The Agency is the third place winner. So congratulations to you, Latoya.
Thank you.
At second place, we have Myspero. Again, Zora and Adrian Roach. Great job, ladies. And last, but certainly not least, at first place, it's My Beauty Kit, Shay Bailey.
Woo! Congratulations, Shay!
So please join me in congratulating everybody, all the winners.
Congratulations!
Put all your work into this effort. Thank you so much.
Congratulations!
Good job, everybody.
Great job.
Bravo. Bravo to the winners. Bravo to everybody. Congratulations.
Good job, girl.
Congratulations to the winners, and congratulations to all 10 of tonight's founding teams on digging deep and on making the most out of this program and this experience, and for your terrific presentations this evening. You're all wonderful. You've all got what it takes, and I look forward to seeing you moving forward in your entrepreneurial journey. Now, if anybody watching would like to have a conversation with any of our showcase founders, please visit our event page at the URL where you signed up for the showcase. Click on the founders tile and contact that founder via their email, which you will find listed there. Thank you again to our fabulous judges, Lakeisha Grant and Marquisia Pierce. We really appreciate your enthusiasm for entrepreneurship and our entrepreneurs, your knowledge, experience, and willingness to spend time with us and challenge our entrepreneurs even more fully. And finally, we'd like to thank again our sponsors, Ally Financial, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. I gotta put my glasses on here. Ralph C. Wilson Jr., Venture 313, and the William Davidson Foundation. Thank you again for making this event possible, for making this program possible. And very importantly, thanks to you, to everybody who joined us today. We're so glad that you joined us tonight to support Tectown programs and to support the wonderful entrepreneurs that we've been helping on their journey to launch. And I encourage you, let's all go out and keep doing great things for entrepreneurship in Detroit. Be well, stay safe, and good night. Thank you.
I'm so proud of everybody. I know it's still
I
recording.
can't even talk.
Shay, first of all, we was like, when we saw the thing, we walked in after you did yours, I'm pretty sure. And we were, and then